this is what I mean. This whole structure is buried, is really solidly anchored by this way of building. You see, I don't really think we need those concrete anchors. You see the way if we fill down with gravel, how the whole structure is anchored in the gravel.
Mm.
It's not going to move. Look at all, when we backfill with the gravel, look at how much gravel is on top of those rails, right? One
Yeah,
and a half
lot.
gravel on top of the rail on those beam rails. Wow, that's plenty of weight and anchor. I don't see why we need to have another footing, you know?
Mm.
Another footing.
Yeah, those ones that Tim said we should do. I think that's just a.
Oh
I,
yeah, that should be enough. Enough load
yeah,
on the whole structure. Look at
it's
this.
we're anchored, right? The way
Yeah,
that we backfill,
yeah,
we're anchoring the whole structure in the ground.
that's right. No, no, we bury it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we bury it.
So in
Oh,
this case, you
nowhere.
don't need to look for those kind of
Yeah,
anchor
nowhere to go.
thing.
So we could get a frame right in there.
Yeah, yeah. Once you fill up to that level,
Yeah,
you start with the frame construction.
yeah,
Then you do the retaining wall,
yeah,
this block wall,
yeah.
and and you're doing it right on top of the frame. The frame is
That's right.
there.
Yeah,
You're continuing with the build, and
yeah,
the last thing goes on is the cover.
yeah.
Cover system goes on,
That's right.
and
Yeah,
then you're doing the wall, you're doing the door
yeah.
system, and then you finally do the cover.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think we put in the bubble machine
Yeah,
before we put the cover on.
that's right.
We do basically everything, and then the cover comes down over
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's neat.
Now the cover comes down to this level, and this level. Remember how we did the upper level when we did the tall structure?
Yeah,
Cover details that would look like a bit like an umbrella.
yeah.
It could be the same concept here.
Yes.
We we have the bottom of the panel here, right at this plywood, you know, plywood support,
Yeah,
and the outer sheet comes down, over top of everything.
yeah,
So it looks really nice, from the outside.
yeah,
It's like a little overhang.
yeah,
You see, because it's overhanging the block wall.
yeah, yeah.
And that's how we finish the outside skin,
Mm-hmm.
just like that. And the
Yeah.
rope edge, the outside skin, we can tie it to the block, wall. You know
Mm.
what I mean? It's kind of like that. That's kind of the anchor, the plywood and the block wall.
Mm-hmm.
That's holding down the skin, outside skin.
Yeah.
Outside skin can kind of fold underneath the plywood.
Yeah.
What I see is the block wall, and then the plywood, and then the insulation,
Mm.
and then
Mm.
the bubble cavity.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? These are the layers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the outside skin comes down, passes passes the purple insulation,
Yeah.
wraps under the plywood
Yeah.
with a rope edge that we can tie it to the
Yeah.
plywood
Yeah.
Mm.
underneath the plywood.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do a cross section looking at the block wall and the plywood in the outside skin, because we've been thinking about the inside skin. But if we look at the the detail of the outside skin. Yeah, cross section there. Okay, and we go, yeah, that's it. Look at the outside, come in close and tilt it so we see where the outside, yeah, that's it. So the outside skin has, you know, that's the corner of the bubble cavity, right? It's the where, okay, so the block wall, the block needs to be pushed
Lower.
down,
Yeah.
trim, yeah.
Yeah, push down. Yeah.
Yeah. It can go down, because we moved it up, that's why.
Yeah.
Remember, we moved it up so it would
Yeah.
go over top of the rail. So what we could do is let's move the skin up. Let's move the purple up, right? Because we moved the block up so we wouldn't have the interference with the rail. We go over top the rail, and now we can move the purple up further. I'm sorry.
That's tough.
Another change. One more change.
That's not easy to do again. Maybe
No,
let's.
don't worry about it. You know what I mean, right? So
Yeah.
you can do that change before we do all the rest of it. But just before, don't even worry about that. So just ignore the fact that the block is inside the cavity now. But let's just look at the outside skin to see what those details would be. Yeah, come back to that same view when we saw the block, and we won't worry about the block, you know. So don't, you know, let's just look at that again, that cross section. Yeah, yeah, and let's come in close. Okay, ignoring the problem with the block, just looking at the outside skin.
Yeah.
Let me show you. Yeah, that corner, yeah, that corner is the inside. Yeah, right there. That's the inside corner of the bubble cavity, right? That's the bubble cavity, right? I mean, we know it's going to be higher, okay? You're going to move it up higher, everything. But that is the corner. And from there, the outside skin continues downward, okay? You know, the panel, yeah, the fabric panel. And what it does, it continues down, and it wraps underneath the plywood. Yeah, it turns right there. And
Turn this way.
yeah, that's it. Come, and we can put the rope edge, you know, it's like a wrap around the corner. And then we can put the flat bar, hold the rope edge underneath the overhang. You know, sometimes we were putting the flat bar on the outside, like, you know, sort of edge, but it might be better to wrap it around under and put the flat bar under the bottom of the plywood.
Yeah.
You see, go in very tight, and we can draw the line. The line zoom right in, zoom close in on that corner.
So the rope and
yeah, keep
here,
the same. Yeah,
and
that's
go
right.
inside.
That's right.
And
it doesn't
use
go far, right?
the flat bar to.
Yeah, it doesn't have to go very far because we're going
Yeah.
to put the flat bar. You know, it can be
The flat bar
relatively close.
is
Yeah,
here.
relatively close to the edge. Maybe a little more inward than that. Yeah, because, you know, then, yeah, okay. Somewhere around there is where the flat bar is fastened, and the rope edge, you know, is on the other side of the flat bar, right? And so that would be a very neat way, right? The whole fastening is hidden practically.
So there is two layers. One is the purple foam, and the other is the plywood.
Plywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The plywood is where we fasten the flat bar, right?
Yeah.
And the foam is on top of the plywood, and then the bubble cavity.
Yeah.
And the fabric sitting on the insulation, on the plastic foam, the foam insulation. Right. So, and you know, the skin will cover everything, right? So you won't see the plywood, you won't see the purple foam, because
it's wrapped.
the edge of the fabric there can be opaque.
Yeah.
Okay.
fabric. Yeah. Where we do the rope edge, it's nice to have a material that's stronger than the transparent fabric.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this means that for the 2D plan, we didn't change the physical structure, right? We didn't
No.
change anything to do with the metal.
Yeah.
Once we know exactly where the bottom of the bubble cavity is, right? That means this block wall. Once we get that settled, then we can do the finalization of the bottom of the bubble cavity.
Mm-hmm.
And none of the other details are changing of the bubble cavity, just that we've pushed it up like this, and created less depth.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The blocks, why we have to move things up? We can just lower the block, no?
Yeah, well, we were sort of thinking the blocks sit on the
On the U channel.
the channel there.
Oh, I see. Holding the.
Yeah, and it doesn't, like, we could make this knee wall even higher, right? Because it's still close to the ground, right? It's less than a foot off the ground. So the knee wall could go even higher, but knee wall costs money, and our bubble cavity costs less.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
So 3 blocks is high enough, and it gets above the gravel fill, and it gets us a little bit above the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like 8 inches, maybe, something like that. See, because the 2 blocks is 16,
Yeah.
and we have 18 inches of fill. So you see where we have it right now, the bottom of the bubble cavity is almost at grade. It's only slightly above actual grade.
Yeah.
So it's still about as cheap as we can do this, really.
Mm-hmm.
So the plywood is this side, like Q form? Cuneiform?
Plywood is just it's just like the purple. Just do
Yeah.
another.
Just,
No, just use the purple and make another.
Yeah.
Like copy the purple downward
Yeah.
and then make it a little thinner. So we've got 1 inch of foam insulation, but let's give the plywood half an inch.
yeah. Half inch.
It could be
So-
half inch.
Why don't we make a cuneiform plywood to make the bottom surface flat,
Oh.
like this?
Because we want the liquids to drain toward the center, the inside. There's a purpose for that slope, that the liquids come inward. Right,
In
if-
the outside liquid,
Well,
like
there's
the rain?
no, the rain goes into the gravel. No, I'm talking about the soap liquid inside the cavity. We
Yeah,
want,
the inside
liquid-
is slope,
Yeah.
but we make another piece like
Oh,
triangle.
this is
or-
hard to do.
Is that hard?
Yeah, it's
What?
hard. How do you do that?
Oh, maybe just use one piece of 2x6, 2x10 and cut
Oh, that's hard.
an angle. Maybe
That's hard. No, forget about it. No, we don't have to do that.
the plywood is sitting on top
Yeah.
of the block, and we just need a wedge.
Yeah, wedge to hold.
Wedge.
Yeah,
To hold the slope, right?
yeah. The
And-
same
and-
slope.
And we anchor into the block like some concrete
Yeah,
fill.
yeah.
Don't you think? It's kind of a
Oh, okay.
kind of an anchor, and we can anchor the plywood to the concrete, and then we put the foam on top of that. And if there's any kind of
Yeah,
the head of the nut or anything, well, it's in the foam.
yeah,
Mhm. Okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
So 1 inch foam and half inch plywood.
Right.
and the plywood is sitting on the inside edge of the block, right? It's going to rest
Inside,
on,
yeah,
right
yeah,
there, and it's going to follow the radius,
yeah.
the 90 degrees to the outside skin.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're perfectionists, but at least when we build it, we won't say whoops and whoops. We'll say, oh wow, isn't it perfect? Ah, that's interesting. See, the block almost interfere with the flat angle. See, but they don't. Look at that. When the blocks come together at the corner, we have they don't. Oh yeah, they don't interfere with anything
No.
with
Oh,
the structure
Yeah. No.
with the metal structure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, looks good. The plywood can be cut around the channel on the flat bar. You know, the green flat bar looks like, it should have like a cutout for the plywood.
Mm.
That the plywood can come
Yeah.
against one against the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the only interference I see.
Yeah.
just cut a little bit
Slot,
on the.
like a slot. Yeah.
Yeah. Slot. Yeah.
Mhm. All right. I think we've got the design for all the work to do the site preparation, the gravel, the retaining wall, the base plate for the bubble cavity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's call it something like base plate, right? Because it's the base or bottom of the bubble cavity, and it's kind of a
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah.
Platform. So that is really good, because the bubble cavity, being fabric, right? It needs a structure around it, sort of
Yeah.
thing. It needs the right support so it doesn't flop around.